All right, today we're learning about adding and subtracting radicals. This is still learning target 1, guys. So with multiplying, if you remembered, it had to be the same root. Now with adding and subtracting radicals, they need to be the same root and they have to have the same radical. So same terms underneath the root. So if you look at example 1, they're both the square root of 2. That is okay. That means I am allowed to add them together, okay? They're both square roots. Okay, they both have 2 underneath their radical. So I would add 1 plus 3 to get me 4 square root of 2. And that would be your answer. For example 2, I have the square root of 5xy plus 8 square root of 5xy. So again, these are the same square root. So I'm adding 1 plus 8 to give me 9 square root of 5xy. Okay. And that would be your answer. All right, example 3 now. Cube root of 7 minus 5 cube root of 7. So they are both cube roots, okay? And they're both the square root of 7. So same root, same radical. Now I'm going to subtract them. So it would be 1 minus 5 to give me a negative 4 cube root of 7 for my answer. Okay, looking at example 4, I have fourth roots. So the fourth root of 9x squared y minus 8 fourth root of 9x squared y. Okay, same root and same stuff. Okay, even the variables have to be exactly the same. Okay, have to be identical. They match, so I'm okay to go ahead and subtract them. So 1 minus 8 to give me a negative 7. Everything else will stay the same. Fourth root of 9x squared y. Okay. All right. So now example 5, I'm looking at 3 square root of 3 plus 2 square root of 5 plus 3 square root of 3. So they're all square roots, but do they all have the same number under the radical? Well, I have a square root of 3 here, and I have a square root of 3. Because this is the square root of 5, I can't combine it with them, so I'm just going to combine my square roots of 3. So it would be 3 plus 1 to give me 4 square root of 3 plus 2 square root of 5. So I just carried that down because I had nothing to combine it with. And that would be your final answer. Okay. Example 6. Now I have the square root of 12 plus the square root of 75 minus the square root of 3. So what I'm actually going to do first here is simplify the square roots because I can't combine anything right now. They're all square roots, but I don't have the same number under the radical. So let's look at the square root of 12. That breaks down into 4 and 3. 4 breaks down into 2 and 2. So the square root of 12 is going to break down into 2 square root of 3. Okay, there was your pair of 2's. And your one loner here. Now if I look at the square root of 75, that breaks down into 25 and 3. Okay, 25 breaks down into 5 and 5. Again, there's your pair of 5s that you're pulling out, and your 3 is your loner. So you would get plus 5 square root of 3 minus square root of 3. Okay, carrying that down, I don't need to simplify the square root of 3. So now I'm just combining like terms. Okay, they're all the square roots of 3. Okay, now you can see they're all the same number on the inside. So now I'm just going to add and subtract them together. So 2 plus 5 will give me 7. Minus 1 will give me 6 square root of 3. And that would be my final answer. All right, example 7. I have the cube root of 250 plus the cube root of 54 minus the cube root of 16. So I need to simplify each one of these. So I'm going to start with my cube root of 250. So looking for groups of 3. Let's start with 25 and 10. 10 breaks down into 5 and 2. 25 breaks down into 5 and 5, okay? There's your group of 3 of 5s, and you have a 2 left over. So the first one is 5 cube root of 2 now. Now I'm looking at 3 cube root of 54. 54 breaks down into 9 and 6. 6 breaks down into 3 and 2. And 9 breaks down into 3 and 3. So I have a group of 3s there, and I have a 2 left over. So now the cube root of 54 is going to turn into plus 3 cube root of 2. Okay, last one, I have minus the cube root of 16. So I'm going to simplify that one now. Okay, cube root of 16 breaks down into 4 and 4, which breaks down into 2 and 2. Okay, I have a group of 3 of 2s there, and I have 1 2 left over. So that simplifies to 2 cube root of 2. Okay, so now there are all the cube root of 2s, which means I can just add and subtract them. So I would do 5 plus 3 to give me 8. 8 minus 2 to give me 6 cube root of 2. And that is your final answer there. So simplify first and then add or subtract them together if they are the same root with the same thing underneath that root. Okay, I'm looking at example 8 now. I have 4 square root of 3 plus 4 cube root of 3. Okay, let's look at this. I have a square root and a cube root. Can I do those? No, they have to be the same radical, so not possible. Okay, or it's just simplified and this is your answer. So we'll actually just leave this as our answer. Okay, it's already simplified, so there you go. All right, example 9, I have 14 square root of 20 minus 3 square root of 125. So I need to simplify both of these square roots first. Okay, so let's start with the square root of 20, which breaks down into 4 and 5. 5 is done. 4 breaks down into 2 and 2. So there's my pair of 2s there with a 5 left over. Okay, since I'm pulling out the 2 now, okay, and I already have a 14 on the outside, I need to multiply 14 times 2 to give me 28, and I can leave my square root of 5 on the inside. Okay, now looking at the square root of 125, which breaks down into 5 and 25. 25 breaks down into 5 and 5. So I have a pair of 5s with 1 left over. Okay, since I'm pulling out that pair of 5s here, I need to multiply it by 3. So 5 times 3 is going to give me 15. Make sure you're carrying that sign down. Okay, and then I will have the square root of 5 left on the inside. So now they are both square roots of 5, so I can combine them together. 28 minus 15 will give me 13 radical 5. That is your final answer. All right, example 10. So now I have 3 cube root of 81 minus 2 cube root of 54. So I need to simplify both of these cube roots first. So 81 breaks down into 9 and 9. 9s break down into 3 and 3. Looking for a group of 3 because it is the cube root. I have one group of 3 with 1 left over. Okay, remember that group of 3 that I'm pulling out needs to be multiplied by the number in front. So 3 times 3 will give me 9 cube root of 3 now. Go ahead, carrying down my minus sign. Now I'm going to do the square root or the cube root of 54, which breaks down into 9 and 6. 6 breaks down into 3 and 2, and 9 breaks down into 3 and 3. Okay, looking for a group of 3. There's one right there, and I have a 2 left over. So this group of 3 that I'm pulling out needs to be multiplied by the 2 that was already there. 3 times 2 will give me 6, and I have the cube root of 2. Okay, so now I have 9 cube root of 3 minus 6 cube root of 2. So they are the same roots, but they're not the same number underneath the radicals. So I cannot simplify it any more than this. Sometimes it will just be simplifying the radicals, okay? That is your final answer there. All right, example 11. I have the 4th root of 32 plus the 4th root of 48. So I'm going to need to simplify both of those. So the 4th root of 32. 32 will break down into, let's just do 2 and 16. 16 breaks down into 4 and 4, which breaks down into 2 and 2. Okay, looking for a group of 4. I have a group of 4 there with 1 left over. So that one now turns into 2. Here's my group of 4 that I pulled out. 4th root of 2. Bringing down my plus sign. Now I'm going to simplify the 4th root of 48. Factor tree it into 4 and 12. 12 is, let's do 6 and 2. 4 is 2 and 2. 6 is 2 and 3. Okay, looking for a group of 4. I have one right there, and I have 1 3 left over. Okay, so I am going to simplify it into 2 4th root of 3. Okay, now they're both 4th roots, but different numbers underneath my radicals. So I cannot simplify it anymore, and this would be my final answer, okay? So make sure you simplify first and then add and subtract when they are the same root and same radical. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great day and go ahead and get started on your assignment.